All right, so this video, I'm going to show you some horizontal surfacing materials. I'm going to start with plastic laminate. So these are just a few different examples of what plastic laminate can look like. As discussed in the PowerPoint lecture, it has a craft paper backing, and then it's very hard to see this because it's so thin, but it's got a very thin graphic layer, and then it typically has some kind of like a protective coating over that to protect the image. Plastic laminate can come in pretty much any graphic you can imagine, just because it's printed. So any graphic that can be digitally printed can be achieved on plastic laminate. Different surface finishes are also available. So this one has a smooth, it's kind of a satin finish to it. This one actually has an embossed finish, so you can see it can have a little bit of texture and have a little bit more of a three-dimensional look. Also plastic laminate though. And then this one has more of a high gloss to emulate the look of granite. So a lot of times this material is used in more of an area where you're trying to save on costs. But laminate does do a good job of mimicking other materials. So then another version, or I guess in the family of plastic laminate, is it's called a phenolic material. So instead of the laminate being only this thin, you can get these in different thicknesses, and it's basically just a much thicker version of laminate, but it's pressed together with a resin, so it's actually a very hard, durable material. One brand of it is Trespa. It can be used in exterior applications even, and also can be very common for toilet partitions or areas where you really need heavy duty cabinetry that will hold up against a lot of abuse. So that's just a couple looks, but they can come in many more looks just like laminate. All right, so then the next material we're going to look at is solid surface. This is an acrylic material or some type of plastic, depending on the type, as discussed in the lecture. These can come in a bunch of different looks too. They typically are trying to mimic a stone. So you can see here that this one is meant to look kind of like a quartz, and this one's more of like a travertine kind of look. But that color goes all the way through the material. So there's a couple examples of that. They also come in really fun colors, which other materials aren't always able to achieve, especially with natural stones. So solid surface is a great option if you're trying to, match branding colors or anything. If you're working on like a retail or a restaurant project where the color of the brand is very important to bring into the building, this is a great product for that. All right, then quartz is the next type of surface we talked about. This is about 93% actual quartz rock from the ground. So it's ground up and then held together with a binder, some kind of resins, as well as colorants and dyes. You can see here this one actually has a green color to it, so different colors were added to that. And then this one has more of a granite look, so it can kind of mimic natural stone but have the durability and the consistency of quartz. Quartz is very hard all the way through. You won't have to worry about cracking or sealing like you do with some natural stones. Similar to quartz is the material Vitrazo. So this is more like a terrazzo that made into a countertop application. So you can see some very large recycled glass chips in there. And then once again, that's held together with a binder that keeps it all together, and it's pressed with heat and pressure to make it a hard, durable material. This one's called Freshly Brewed Coffee House. I think this is kind of fun because it's made from recycled beer and wine bottles. So they brought that into the material and gives it just a little bit of character. All right, the next ones we're going to talk about are a few different sustainable options. So paper stone is one that we talked about. The color you can see goes all the way through on this one. This material doesn't have a lot of different color options. I think there's only about 6 or 7. And it does darken over time. So it's very durable, very sustainable. It's basically recycled paper pressed together with resin over time. It is just as strong and chemically resistant as epoxy countertops, which is what you see in the science lab. So this makes a very good sustainable option for that. Then a couple other ones. This is Shetka stone. Talked about that in our presentation as well, but just so you can see what that looks like. You can kind of see how on the edge those layers are laminated together. And then this is just a coated MDF product. So this is actually a sustainable MDF. So it's wood particles pressed together. And then there is a protective kind of coating on the outside that holds it all together. So that's another option for horizontal surfaces. And then this one is pressed sunflower seeds. So you can see what that looks like. This one is a bamboo option. You can see how the core is kind of cut lengthwise there. And then here's another sunflower seed one. I always thought this was really fun material. You can see here once again, like all the layers kind of pressed together to create that hard board that can perform well in a countertop application. And then the last one is 3form, which we talked about. This is typically more of a vertical application, but you can see here that this is a clear resin that has some kind of item kind of pressed in between. So this one has like a straw grass. There's lots of different applications of this. Sometimes they've used like recycled paper or some kind of like metallic yarns or anything. There's a lot of different options to bring some visual interest to a space. These are typically used when you want some privacy, but still want some visual access as well. So this material works really well for creating kind of a visual screen. And that wraps up the video for the horizontal and vertical surfaces. Thank you.